Okay, are you ready? I'm ready if you are. Okay, we want to welcome everybody here this evening and call our meeting to order. At this time, Allison will take roll call.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Maples,
Here.
Mayor Van Oster,
Here.
Commissioner Swindell,
Here.
and Vice Mayor York is absent this evening.
That is correct. We want to welcome our interim city manager for his first official meeting, Tim Wilson. We're glad to have you here this evening and look forward to this. Next on our agenda is our invocation, and Commissioner Swindell has agreed to do that this evening. If you'll please stand.
Father, we thank you for the privilege to call upon your name to lead this city. Lord, we ask you to bless those that have been given voice to make decisions over this city. Lord, we pray for those upcoming and those present, Father. We just thank you, Lord, for the prosperity of Coffeyville, Lord, that it would grow, that it would succeed, Lord, and that you would answer our prayers, Lord, the many prayers that have been prayed over this city for years, Lord, that they would come into fruition, Lord, as we end this year and into the new year, into the new season, the new session. Father, we just thank you that these years ahead would be greater than what's behind us, Father. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Swindell, for doing that. Okay, next we will have the review of our agenda. We do have a couple of things to amend the agenda item, so does anybody have anything else that they want to add? Okay, if not, I will move to amend the agenda to add item number 7 under new business, which is the KERIT 2024 renewal, and also to add an executive session.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maples to amend the agenda to add item number 7 under new business, the CARET 2024 renewal, and also add an executive session. Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. We have 3 items under the main consent agenda. First, we have our City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, December 12th of 2023. Next, we have our City Commission special meeting minutes on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. And then we have our 2023 appropriation ordinance number AO-23-24 in the amount of $6,569,542.24. Anything on the minutes from both meetings specifically? Nothing? Okay. We will move on to our appropriation ordinance, and tonight Commissioner Maples has some highlights to bring out on that.
Okay, it looks like, let me go over some of the larger items. First, we have Action Communications for communication equipment in the amount of $36,549.23. We have Asplin Tree Services for $10,248.10. We have BG Consultants for $35,520. We have the City Treasurer Revenue Bonds, 3 of them, which total $1,285,838.13. We have the City Treasurer for Insurance Health Claims in the amount of $261,486.46. We have the Coffeyville Journal for Public Notices in the amount of $2,546.78. We have Coffeyville Regional Medical Center, that's the sales tax distribution from 12/23 in the amount of $92,957.37. Corin, Maine, $27,184.06. We have Grand River Dam Authority in the amount of $3,095,798.13. We have Hunter Glen for lot cleanup, 20 lots for $2,370. We have Jared Gilmore and Phillips for a 2022 audit in the amount of $15,700. We have a lot of stuff going on this month. We have Mueller Construction for cleanup and demo of several homes in the amount of $62,450.
I think part of that was sludge pond.
And yeah, okay, part of that was the sludge pond. Clean out of the east sludge pond, which was a bigger chunk of that. That was $47,500 of that. Still, we're tearing down houses and it's at our expense. We have Pace Analytical Services for lab tests for the water treatment plant in the amount of $2,832.80. We have Republic Services for residential services for the month of November in the amount of $38,432.38. Southwest Power Pool transmission services in the amount of $739,798.87. And Southwest Power Administration for energy purchase in the amount of $10,450.91. We have Wartsila North America for equipment maintenance in the amount of $16,858.60. And then we have a payroll distribution of $374,349.14.
Does anybody have anything else on the appropriation ordinance coming out? Okay, if not, I will move to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
Aye. Second.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell.
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the consent agenda is a 2023 appropriation ordinance number AO-23-24A for Isham's True Value Hardware in the amount of $36.58.
I make a motion to approve item 4 of the consent agenda for Isham's Hardware in the amount of $36.58.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Maples, seconded by Commissioner Swindell to approve appropriation ordinance AO-23-24A for Isham's Hardware in the amount of $36.58. Commissioner Swindell.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Abstain.
Okay. And Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
And Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We will now move on to comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his/her legal name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have anybody here this evening? Okay, then we will move on.
We got one.
Oh,
Alec Hendricks, 406 North Edgewood, Coffeyville. I'm here to talk about the water purchase contract with Caney?
Okay, that is on our agenda, and so
Correct.
that's when you talk about it.
Can we talk about it then? Okay.
Yeah, because that's what we mean. Anything that's on the agenda items, we will discuss at that time.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we will now move.
Wait, you've got something.
Okay, sorry. Nobody coming up.
Thank you. I'm Ron Bryce, 2997 West Northbrook in Coffeyville, and I serve as the legislator in the Kansas House now for the city of Coffeyville and surrounding area. And now that it's the end of the year, holiday season, I just want to thank particularly the city staff. Many of them are here that have worked so hard this year. I want to thank the commissioners who have gone through a lot this year. And I want to say you should have your salary doubled.
Thank you.
And
Very generous.
I want to just say thank you for Mr. Tim Wilson for stepping up as an interim city manager at this time. It's a bit of a transitional time, and I appreciate. He seems to not be afraid of what should I say, a battle or a confrontation. So I appreciate him very much. But I just especially want to say I'm going up to the session in the Kansas House. A week from Monday, the session opens, so I won't be around Coffeyville during the time of the city commission meetings. But if you have any, I think most of you, if not all of you, have my cell phone number. Feel free to call, text. Let me know if there's anything that the city of Coffeyville has need of during the legislative session. If you have any input on the bills that you see, I'll try to communicate as much as possible with everyone. And I just want to thank you all and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. We will now move on to our regular agenda items. First, we have public hearings, special presentations, and proclamations. We do have a public hearing tonight, and this is for our fiscal year 2023 budget amendments. Stephanie Richardson is here this evening, and she will make comments on that.
Mayor and Commissioners, good to see each of you.
Yes.
This is the time of year when we take a look at the budget and determine if there are needed budget amendments so that we can stay in compliance with the state budget laws. There were a few funds that did need budget amendments here at the end of the year, so I'll go through those and just kind of give the reasonings for that. And then we're required to hold a public budget hearing and allow anyone to make any comments, and then afterwards you can take up for consideration approving those amendments. The first funds that we did propose for budget amendments included many of the sales tax funds. So the general fund, the CRMC sales tax, the Community Improvement District or the CID sales tax funds, and the USD 445 sales tax fund. As you know, sales tax receipts have been much better this year than we anticipated when we budgeted. We always try to budget sales tax conservatively so that we don't overspend when we have a shortfall in sales tax revenue. So this year we have had a pleasant increase in sales tax revenues. Therefore, a budget amendment is required in order to receipt those funds into the general fund and then disperse them out to those various sales tax funds as required by the state law. So the USD 445 sales tax fund, when we budgeted back in the summer of '22, we budgeted for all of those funds to be dispersed in 2022, and therefore we didn't do a budget in 2023, so we need to add back that fund because of the state laws for handling the school funds. They can't draw down all those funds at once. They have to do that as the debt service happens. So therefore, we need to add back that fund to our budget to give authority for spending those funds. The Hillcrest Golf Course Fund was one that needed some adjustments. The salary and capital project costs were driving the needs for the amendment for this particular fund. We also encumber annually. We have set aside in the budget money to fix the pro shop roof and replacement of cart shed doors. So each year, we're setting aside money in order to make those repairs in the next few years. The refuse and trash utility fund, you made me a little nervous when you said tearing down the houses and that dollar amount, because I thought I did not budget enough for that. But this is due to the increased trash contact pricing with the trash contractor when we have those annual increases. And then all of the expenditures that we make during the year for code enforcement cleanups, weed lot mowing, demolitions, those types of nuisance expenditures that we have. So we increased the authority there for the trash utility fund. The electric utility fund, this one is one that we typically come back and do an amendment for each year. This fund has seen the increased costs associated with the components of electric purchases, fuel, electric, energy costs, and the transmission fees. We've seen those increase as the years have gone by, and therefore needing an additional amount in their budget in order to follow the state laws there. And the last one is the electric utility debt service fund. This one is when we budget in whole dollars. When you do the audit, you get down to the penny. And so I just wanted to be careful in this fund because I didn't want to exceed the budget by a few pennies. And so this one I went ahead and did a budget amendment for, so when it does come audit time, that there's not issues with it being over by just a few cents. So I did increase the debt service fund to include that. We did publish in the Coffeyville Journal as required on December 16th, meeting the 10-day notice period required by the state statute for the budget amendment hearing. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. Otherwise, we can hold the public hearing.
And in our packet included the amended budget and the comparison of what we, the proposed and then the adopted
Yes.
one. And that's what it was composed of as far as in the public notice.
Yes.
Is about having this and so forth. Okay. Just regular end of the year housekeeping things that we
Yes.
must do. Okay, for the finance. Does anybody have any specific questions? Okay, then what we will do now is I will now open the public hearing to receive comments regarding the fiscal year 2023 budget amendments. Have anybody here this evening? No? Okay. I will now close the public hearing. Okay? All right. At this time, what we'll do is, we don't have any old business, so with that, we will move on down to news business, which is adopting the resolution. We have Resolution R-23-94 to authorize the certification of the 2023 budget amendment for the General Hillcrest Golf Course, USD 445 sales tax, CRMC sales tax, the CID sales tax, the refuse and trash utility, the electric utility, and the electric utility debt service funds for the city of Coffeyville for the total expenditures of $94,318,844. Once again, Stephanie Richardson will make comments.
Again, just following the process for the state requirements. If approved this evening, this will be sent to the county clerk this week to get that to them before the end of the year. And it will require each of you to sign the budget document. And Allison has 3 copies of those for each of you to sign this evening.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? None? Okay, it's kind of simple. Okay, if there are no questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-23-94 as presented.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, which one was that? Thank you. Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve Resolution R-23-94 as presented. Commissioner Swindell?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster?
Aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephanie,
Thank
for
you.
your
I
work
appreciate
on
it.
that.
Thanks,
We
Stephanie.
appreciate it very, very much. Okay, we will now move on down to Resolution R-23-95, which is a resolution to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to B&L Construction in the amount of $224,750 for the relocation of a primary distribution line on South Buckeye and the relocation of 2 poles near the Verdigris River on Sunflower for the City of Coffeyville Electric Utility. Our Superintendent of Electric Distribution, Mr. Steve Pratt, will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you.
Welcome, Steve.
This is a South Buckeye Line relocation project, and we have 2 poles that are out on North Sunflower that will be moved. The requesting department is electric distribution. The cost is $224,750. The purpose is to relocate a 1247 kV primary electric distribution line, as well as 2 70-foot metal poles near the Verdigris River. Montgomery County has received federal grant money to make shoulder right-of-way improvements to South Buckeye and Coffeyville. This will require the city of Coffeyville to relocate the line 1 to 3 feet west of the current location. There is, on the south part of the bridge, they're actually moving it 50 feet. There are 2 poles near the Verdigris River Bridge on Sunflower Street that need to be moved because of erosion. The river has washed away some 30 to 40 feet on the south side. Heavy rains could adversely affect the poles. The weight of the poles exceeded the weight capacity of the city's machinery, so it is not possible for the work to be done by our electric department. Initially, staff attempted to acquire private easements from the adjacent landowners, however, received either limited or no response from property owners. This has put staff in a position to move the project forward with the existing right-of-way and engage a contractor to complete this project in a short time frame. I think this is projected to be done by May. The staff cross-discipline, I thought I would put in there that they reviewed this project. Mike Shook went to them. The estimated cost just for engineering and some of the wire and such different things was over $350,000. Staff met with B&L, who's a contractor that we use for various things. We've used them with new generation substations. They've done a lot of projects with us. We met last October to get ideas and support on moving the line, so they're already familiar with this project. The city has used them for many different maintenance support and distribution support. Staff would recommend the city proceed in such a manner to assure the line is moved prior to the start of the county roadwork project. It is the staff's experience that due to long relationship between the city and B&L Construction, working with the city and utility, often responding in emergent situations, that the city not seek bids through an RFP process and move forward with B&L Construction. There is adequate budget in the 810 fund to support this effort. Staff has already acquired the necessary poles, hardware, and plans to secure the necessary conductor for this project. B&L would simply provide labor and equipment and design expertise. Had the county provided some familiar or earlier information regarding this project, the city may have been able to perform this work internally, including budget properly in capital projects. While B&L is here for the South Buckeye project, staff feels it's prudent at that time, while they have all their equipment, to drill the holes and move the 2 poles near the river. Staff recommendation, the mayor to authorize to direct the director of finance to issue a purchase order to B&L Construction in the amount of $224,750 to relocate the 1247 primary line and the 69 line on Sunflower.
Okay. Okay. So you've got it to 200 and, what'd you say, 224, 750?
Yes.
Okay, and this includes moving and then the relocation of those 270-foot poles near the Verdigris River, and then the removal of 5,800 feet of poles and conductor. Okay. And they're supposed to start on this.
As soon
And
as
have it-
possible. I mean, I've
Okay,
got,
because the county is, you have to get yours completed first,
Yes,
correct? And
yes.
when do they want to start?
they want us completed by May. That's when they're gonna start coming in with dozers and, the whole deal was that they're putting an 8-foot shoulder on this road. And because of that, they had to blade the side of the ditch to, not something that just falls off, so when cars, it's, so with that, our poles were in some places 32 feet off the road. And believe me, I have had several contacts, communication with the county, with county commissioners. I haven't been real pleased about the whole thing. This is a line that we built 10 years ago. And it's the main line that feeds D section, which is people out in the country. So there's a lot of things that have to be done. And I tried the best I could to try to keep our poles where they were.
Sure.
Jim Wright went to the engineers, they weren't going to go for it. So this is kind of where we're at. And my biggest concern is that in future projects that they give us time, that they communicate with the city, especially if there's financial things involved, that either getting grants for relocating utilities. This is really the first major project I've had with the county that we've had to move this amount. There's 32 poles involved in this project, so.
Okay.
I got one question. If the county had provided the information earlier, could this have saved us quite a bit of money?
I don't know if we'd have had a choice one way or another, but, I think I looked at it, relocating the line to the east side of the road, that to try to get away from being so far off that road. This is a kind of a really wet area that's difficult to get to begin with. So my plan is to, I've talked him into letting us stay on the project limit line as close to the road as we can, so we can reach over and try to get to these poles. It's a radial feed that feeds out in the country. It's the only source we have out there. So I looked at Overlook, I looked at many different places, going down 169. Each one of those involved 5 miles of reconductoring, and it just, if we could have done it ourselves, some of it was we didn't have all the materials, the equipment that it takes to string this wire under tension, and the time frame that it would take with the amount of crews that we have and people on the crews. I felt that that's what we wanted to do. It just wasn't going to happen.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
Will Sunflower be closed down? I know people will ask that.
No, I don't, to my
You'll be too
knowledge, they're
far
going to have, I'm sure they're going to have signs and all kinds of stuff, but I'm not really sure the scope of what the county's going to do as far as once they come in. But all the work that we'll do is going to be off the road.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you've been working on this since, did you have another question? Okay. You've been working on this since, when did they come to you?
Since March, off and on,
Okay.
Just trying to come up with a plan, and an expense, change that plan. Then when it went to the thought of being able to do it internally, we figured out that I had to tell Mike that it's just not possible. We're going to have to, we're running out of time, and now,
Okay.
weather permitting, hopefully they can get in.
Yeah.
Maybe we just said we don't want the right-of-way improvements. Montgomery County, is that ever an option, or?
I would like to have done that, but I'm not sure it is, but Thomas gave me on 4 poles out on East 8th Street that are going to have to be relocated because of a bridge. We've done a lot of pole movement here, 1 or 2, but my biggest concern is when you start talking about Buckeye, you start looking at Overlook, you start looking at Klein, you start looking at any county road that has our pole lines. If they get grants to do this, it was an old line that needed replaced that we wanted to do single, it might be different, but it does concern me that in the future we could run into this. And that communication needs to be done, to me, prior to them getting the grants, if they're going to submit to them, so we have an idea. I'm not even sure if the utility can go out for grants. We've never, in my knowledge, done that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I intend to meet with the county commissioner, so I will address the way this happened. It shouldn't happen that way, so.
Okay, all right.
I guess my question is the right-of-way improvement really going to improve South Buckeye? Who made that assessment? Did the county, or?
My guess is that they get grant money.
Yeah.
Could they have used it somewhere else? I think there's, in my mind, yes, they could have.
That'd be my question.
It's not like a main thoroughfare, it's a
Yeah.
shortcut to South Caulfield. And I think they need to bear in mind that this financially affects our utility, our city, and
Well, I will definitely address it when I meet with them.
thank you.
Yeah. Like, we need to get it moving so they can move. And they're going to start in May, regardless of what we do, right? And then that'll not be good. So
Right.
I understand, and yes, I'm glad, we had adequate budget in Fund 810 to do that, but still, just a little bit more notice and meeting together, so right, Tim can get with them and see what we can do for the future, because that is it's a big thing, just have to start right now.
Right.
And do that, so. Does anybody else have any questions? And you can ask a question if you want. I don't know if it'll make any difference, because we're kind of.
Do we have time to table this until you check into this, or should we go ahead and vote on this?
Well, I would leave that up to you, but I intend to meet with them shortly. so.
Yeah, okay. I think we go ahead and do this and work with them, but then, just like I said, in the future, that we need some more
It'd
time
be
to do
nice
this.
if you didn't have to do it this time. but-
Yeah, and so that we could utilize in-house.
Right.
The more we can, so. Any further questions? Okay. If not, I will move to approve Resolution R-23-95 as presented. Nobody wants to say.
It's gonna die.
It's gonna die.
It's gonna die.
Okay. Well, it dies for a lack of motion, so we'll,
Yeah, I'll
Tim?
meet with them and
okay,
report back.
you'll meet with
Yeah.
them. That's good.
I mean, it's December, so we still got time.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the best course of action.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Okay, all right, thank you, Steve. Okay, that's good. Okay, we will now move on to the next item, which is Resolution R-23-96. which is to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to enter into an agreement with the city of Caney for the purpose of supplying the city of Caney with potable water. Steve Smith, our Director of Water Services, will make comments. Steve?
Good evening, commissioners, staff. The purpose of this is to enter into a water purchase contract with the city of Caney, with the sole purpose of supplying them with their current and future water needs up to a maximum of 250,000 gallons of water per day. The city of Caney has had an ongoing water situation in which they have had trouble meeting and staying in compliance with the required potable water standards. Currently, the city of Caney has also been experiencing a severe water shortage in which they draw water from the Little Caney River, which has been deemed by the Kansas Water Office as a non-reliable water source. City of Caulfield staff, along with representatives of Caney, have been negotiating an agreement between the two cities for the purpose of Coffeyville being Caney's main water source. So staff is recommending that the mayor be authorized to enter into a water purchase contract with the city of Caney for the purpose of supplying the city of Caney with up to 250,000 gallons of potable water per day. I will take any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We have several people using our water right now in the soybean plant, fertilizer plant, hospital, schools. We agree to let them purchase 250,000 gallons of the water. We get ours first and then they draw, or do we have to go ahead and supply 250,000 under this contract?
We would have to supply the 250,000 gallons under this contract now. The way it would be is if there is a water shortage, then we would be able to cut them by the same amount that we would cut everyone else. It's still under our current water rights that we've have had for 80, 90, 100 years. And we are, kind of the main ones on the water not water contract, but the water rights, because we've had them for so long. So we would have our water rights before the soybean factory or others would be able to get that, because those are newer water rights.
Okay, I know I've been approached by a lot of people here lately concerned with, do we still get our water first? And then everybody else will get.
The city of Coffeyville, we would get our water under our water rights as long as water is available. Under the current water rights, ours is grandfathered in because of the age of them. Now, if we were to keep supplying more people with water and would have to go out and seek more water rights, now those would be infant water rights, and those particular water rights would be at the way down at the bottom. And that's how it works with the state. Is whoever's had the water rights first gets the water first, and then on down.
Okay.
Does that
Can
answer
you-
your question?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain the rates again? I
Yeah,
know you went
the
over
rates
this the
that are
last
here
time,
are set by ordinance.
Right?
And right now, we only have a two-tier rate system, which is in-city and out-of-city limits. And when we sell to our wholesalers, we sell them the out-of-city limits rates, which is a higher rate. And then under those rates, it's based on the amount of water that they're using each month. You get charged a certain amount up to 2,000 gallons, and then the price drops as more water that you're purchasing per 1,000 gallons.
Gallons. Okay.
We are looking at having a rate study done. Right now, we're waiting on the water plant assessment and a couple other things to get done first, so they know what all to put into the study. And then once we get those things finished, which on the water plant assessment, we're 95% done with that. And then the others, they said it's going to go in conjunction with that, so the others will be really quick after they get that completed. So then
Okay.
we can get that water rate study done, which we'll probably raise the rates.
Yeah.
And written into the contract allows us to raise the rates, if we need to. So,
And for the public to understand, this project isn't going to start for another 2 or 3 years.
Well, I mean, they still need to seek out right-of-ways and funding, and first thing would be to get the engineering studies done and plans all drawn up and all that. And so I guess, I know they're wanting to do a warp speed thing, but it's still gonna take time. So,
I think they mentioned a couple years. on
yeah,
that.
yeah, probably
Before.
at least 1.5 to 2 years, I would think, at, even at warp speed.
Okay.
There was analysis done that showed there was significant excess water capacity.
Yes, sir.
That what we have committed to Caney still leaves us with a significant.
Yes, sir. Would you like me to
Cushion.
go over that?
Well, I think you should. I think that might answer Pam's question. and-
Sure.
Because that's what the citizens of Coffeyville would be, they
Yeah.
don't
Mostly
want
interested
Coffeyville to
in.
run dry. So I think you should go through that real quickly. if
Sure,
you
I'll be
could.
happy to.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so what Mr. Wilson is referring to is, on our meeting last week, the special meeting we had concerning this, I brought up what I called the Coffeyville Water Fact Sheet. And what it points out is that our annual water rights, the ones I was talking about that were grandfathered in, it sets at 1.5 billion gallons per year. And currently, we did a new water purchase contract from Elk City Lake to supplement that. That contract was 40 years old. It was due for renewal, and we renewed it this year. Prior, we were allotted 300 million gallons of water from the lake, and we requested to be allotted 500 million gallons. So with those two together, that gives us up to 2 billion gallons of water per year for our use. 1.5 off the regular draw of the river, plus additional 500 million from the lake. Now, when we're in a drought like we have been, you may not be able to draw your normal water rights. They set that depending on the flow of the river and all that, and weekly, we send them our water demands, and they send us back what we can pull off that, and then based off that, we make a good guesstimation on how much water we're gonna need for the following week, and then we'll supplement it with excess water out of Elk City Lake. In 2022, our water demand was 1.42 billion gallons of water. So that left under our water rights, that left remaining 583,460,000 gallons of water. Caney's requested water amount per year equates to 91,312,500 gallons of water. That would still leave us with 492,147,500 gallons of water per year. As of last week, the current water storage that was in Elk City Lake was 6,306,202,697 gallons of water. That has actually got better with the recent rainfall we got. And then I'm not gonna even go over the latest water flow because it's actually a whole bunch more than it was when I wrote this. Last week was 62.8 cubic feet per second, coming down the river, which only equated to 28,186 gallons per minute. But the river went way up since then because of the recent rain. But if you were even to go off this number of 28,186 gallons of water coming down the river, we pull about 2,500 gallons per minute. So that's still at 26,000 gallons bypassing us. So, anybody have any questions concerning any of this that I went over?
No, not on that part.
What do we supply besides just the residents of Coffeyville? We supply some we already outsourced some others as well,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir. We supply City of South Coffeyville, Nowata County, District 7, Labette County, or excuse me. Anyway, Nowata County,
Right.
Labette 7, Consolidated 1, Consolidated 2, City of Deering, So there's quite a few that we supply already.
Right, that's already in our allotted
Right.
water usage
Right.
and things. And
Consolidated One really covers a whole area except maybe from Caney over going west of Coffeyville.
right,
Okay.
right. So it's not much more demand on our system besides what we're already intaking and looking at.
No,
and
not at
looking
all.
engineering.
250,000
Yeah. And
gallons
that's what we've presented.
a day is not much. Our demand already is 3.8 million gallons a day.
Okay.
So I think that's like a 7% increase in our demand.
All right. Does anybody else up here have any questions? Okay. Alec, you had questions? Okay.
Alec Hendricks, 406 North Edgewood, Coffeyville. That's right. I looked at the contract that was in the agenda packet, and on the first page, it had estimated number of XXXX water users by Caney. The sheet I just got tonight says 1,000 water users by Caney. And some of the other, in the one in the agenda packet says it's a 5-year contract. But the one here says it's a 20-year contract. Okay,
This one here that you got over here, this is the one that actually went in front of their commission. It had to be adjusted for that. They have, you have 900 and how many? And what we did was we rounded it up to 1,000 for a little bit of growth on there. And then the 20-year on here had to be done for funding purposes because they cannot get a grant or anything unless they did a 20-year contract.
okay.
We wanted to do a 5-year contract, but we weren't.
And I understand that, you're gonna go through the infrastructure, you want it longer. Here's one of my other things is, commercial users or in the region users of Coffeyville, the city of Coffeyville water system is meant for the city of Coffeyville residents as a priority as the first. And now we're looking at supplying another city 15 miles away with water, which in normal times that would be fine. What I have a problem with is, we have commercial rates, and I know because of the past and being at grandfathered in, we supply a little bit of Lebec County, South Coffeyville, Nowata County. I would prefer if we would, for the city, if we were supplying another town, we take on the management of the whole system, the water, treatment plant, the pipes, the infrastructure to get to that point, that they would be charged at a slightly higher rate than a out-of-town rate or a commercial rate, and maybe the rates need to be changed to supply another city. Also, on the minimum buy, as I understand, in normal times, the city of Caney doesn't need to buy anything, correct? In normal times, they have enough water, and they won't need the 250,000 gallons per day, so their water usage could be 0. Is that correct?
Well, no, Kelly, you want to come up here and address that?
Yes.
I guess we could have 0 revenue for all this trouble if, in normal times.
One of the things, the reason I put it in your packet, here, I'll show you, is the state's shutting us down. We failed our TTHMs, the plant is old and it's not making it any longer. We went up to see KDHE and that was one of William Carr's requirements. But in your packet here is a letter from KDHE that we are actually under a letter of conditions. So it says right here, it says this letter is to notify KDHE, it says purposing this issue of administrative order requiring to evaluate and remand the above outlined, so those are TTHMs. But we had to come under a negotiated contract order. That means, and in that order, I've already talked to Kathy Tucker-Vogel, which you'll get to know as you work through the city, is she's our area agent over our entire area. And she says that's one of the things they're going to remand is that the plant be shut down. Now, when they put the plant in, it was not compatible to the water source. That was nothing that any of us did that was before us. But they went ahead and shoved it on through, and all of these years, as it's gotten older, it's gotten far worse. So it's not able to, and Steve addressed this, it's not able to actually produce potable water. That's why we've given out truckloads of bottled water.
So is the plan to not build another water treatment plant in Caney ever
Right.
in the future?
Caney's really not big enough. I mean, you go through the entire state, and I've helped 4 other cities. Caney's not big enough to have its own plant. With all the chemical costs and everything, there is just no way to recover all those costs anymore.
So if Caney ever wanted to grow and add a company there that wanted to locate there that was a water user, a heavy water user, at some point there would have to be an agreement to build a water treatment plant, or is this just gonna?
Now, one of the things that the state of Kansas is going to do, and I know you guys will see this in your time and your terms, one of the things the state of Kansas is going to have to do, and Steve can actually chime in on this, is look for alternative water sources and redirecting sources, just like your wastewater that's actually sufficient to use as cooling waters. We were already over in Fort Scott. We were trucking all of our water from the treatment plant all the way over to ADM, 7 miles away, for their cooling water. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to the state. When we talked to the chief engineer up there in Kansas City, they said drinking water is going to have to stay drinking water, but they're going to have to look at resourcing their cooling waters. So whether it's well water or whether it's industrial water, it's going to have to be resourced so that there's more drinking water like you're talking. And then that way, there's not that threat. And so it comes down to management. And this is why the state steps in and helps manage water, is because people don't seem to manage water very well. And I know that's why you're feeling a lot of this. But that's why the governor is now actively involved too. And some of us have been talking to her about resourcing and reconsidering things that, like, different sourcing of cooling waters. So if Caney was to grow, one thing that's got to happen is they have to put in new lines. Hence the whole point of the $22 million project.
And something about leakage in there, you're losing a lot of water through.
Right. So that's got to be controlled so that we're not wasting the water we get from you guys, and that way it can go to the drinking source water. But to do that, it's going to take a $22 million project, which costs money and funds and things. And so that's why, as you look, we've been producing water, and this is actually the truth. Our water that we're producing, and that's why some of these numbers in there, is running us about $14 a 1,000 gallons. And even to buy water from you guys, and Steve already mentioned that you guys would have to go up, it's still 19% cheaper than what we can produce it for, even with the projects and project fees.
On that point, I have 2 concerns and one minor one. One concern is that we're basically treating the city of Caney as a commercial customer, just like it would a company or business in Coffeyville. And I've always thought, even in the past, was we should have a little bit more upcharge than that, because it takes a heavy burden off the city of Caney. But that burden's on the city of Coffeyville to manage our water treatment plant, to have the employees to manage that, to deal with it, for the city manager, for, do contracts and even talk about it. And to me, there should be some little, upcharge that I'm not gonna call
The
it
reason
profit,
there isn't-
but
Is we have the in-town rates and we have the out-of-town rates.
Correct.
I'm saying past the out-of-town rate.
But usually that's
They'll have
for
to
your
go by
infrastructure.
ordinance, so.
I'm just saying, even the out-of-town rate is for a Coffeyville regional
Yeah.
customer. Second thing is, when we get in a severe drought, and I realize that we have a very good contract with the state of Kansas with Elk City Reservoir, that we typically, when other cities have to start cutting, we don't. And that's a very good thing. So we may have enough water to supply you, but in a severe drought, how do we prioritize Coffeyville residents versus Caney? That's a concern to me. The third one is, and this is minor, it says supply up to 250,000. What if you go the other way, is we have plenty of capacity, what if they want more? Go ahead and sell it. Is it gonna stop at 250,000, or is there somebody gonna be at the meter on a daily basis going, oh, they
Case in point, 1C, who we're currently supplying, they used to be Rural Water District 5. I'm working with them right now on a new contract. The contract for Rural 5 called for 250,000 gallons per month. They are up to 3.6 million gallons per month, and we have not cut them off.
So the question is, in the contract, if we're in good times and the river's full, why even have a limit in there? So with some of these questions I have, I'm respectfully asking the commission, if it's possible, if you table this and let there be another review and the next commission deal with it. And not saying against it, just there's some details in there that I would like to see different. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Jim Faulkner, 1014 West 3rd. Again, going through the contract, I'd like to finish a sentence that you made earlier. You said there's provisions in the contract to raise the rates if necessary. I'd like to finish that sentence. And it says, any increase in rates shall be in the same proportion to increases in domestic retail consumer rates within Coffeyville and shall be implemented contemporaneously therewith. In other words, if we ever reach a point where we need to raise the rates to Caney, we are automatically forced to raise the rates for our Coffeyville water consumers, for the individual citizens. That's what that sentence says, and it needs to be removed from the contract.
That's how all the contracts have been written. If we want to remove it, that's fine. Read that again.
Any increase in, it's on bottom of page 3, item 3. Any increase in rates to Caney shall be in the same proportion to increases in domestic retail consumer rates within Coffeyville and shall be implemented contemporaneously therewith.
And what would you want it to say?
I want it out. I want that sentence stricken, so that if it's necessary for us to raise the rates to Caney, it will not impact the citizens of Coffeyville. It won't impact their water rate.
I think if Caney were out of it and it were necessary to raise the rates in Coffeyville,
That's up to the commission to
Yeah.
do that based on recommendations from staff.
yeah.
But this says if it becomes necessary to raise the rates for Caney for
Yeah,
any reason,
I can't
we have
imagine
to
a
raise
scenario where you'd
Coffeyville.
have to raise the rates in Caney without
Raising the rates.
already impacting Coffeyville, but I hear what you're saying, so I don't think it is going to have a significant impact by taking it out, but certainly we can
I
discuss.
don't think the state would allow us to raise one community's rate and not raise everybody
That would be
else's.
my guess, but,
There's laws.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Well, that needs to be,
Yeah.
needs to be researched.
Yeah.
And because of that, again, you know, they need this, Kenny needs this contract in order to proceed with their funding, with their grant funding and construction. We know it's going to take several years. One or two more commission meetings in order to research this properly is not going to significantly delay that process. Alec and I are not saying, don't do this. We're just saying, let's revisit this contract and make sure that it's not one-sided. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
I just wanted to say a little bit more on the rates. I do know that we can't even raise rates on our own citizens without the state's approval.
Right,
Right.
Everything has to go in front of the state.
that's correct.
We can't just willy-nilly raise rates because we feel like it.
No. No, it has to go through a whole process.
Exactly.
You have to have a
So-
rate study, and then it has to be approved through our commission, then it has to go to the state and be approved by the state before we could ever implement them,
Right.
so.
Thomas, did you have something?
Yeah.
You can-
I was just gonna add, Steve's got it covered pretty well, but, so on,
couple things. So first on the 250,000 gallons, was that per day, I believe?
And that's max.
So that's a maximum. That's required by contract so that you can create the contract. That's the only reason there's a maximum. We can more than willing and more than happy to, if it's available, we can sell it. The rate structure is based on what we sell at the meter. It's not based on, we're only gonna sell this much. The other thing would be that to Mr. Faulkner's point on the changing of the rates, if you read the contract fully in there, it is based on the rates, current rates that we're talking are based on the current rate. So that means when we change the rates, we change the rates for everybody. We're not just picking Caney, we're not just picking Deering. That would be a complete, okay, the cost to produce water has increased this amount. This is what we need to change, and it is based off by percentage for the whole system to where everybody is impacted fairly, both the residents for the city of Coffeyville as well as the residents in the surrounding communities that do support city of Coffeyville by shopping here and working here and providing, enjoying the city of Coffeyville, which makes the city of Coffeyville that much more prosperous in economics and stuff. So those are just a couple more things added to. Like I said, Steve pretty well had it covered after he stepped back up here, but I was wanting to come up here and support him. So be happy to answer any more questions, or me and Steve are both always available to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
So if we, on that same line, if being an outside the city limits,
Yes, sir.
right? I mean, yes, you can't raise the rates for one and not all the others.
That's
So
correct.
if in later times, we negotiated contracts to raise all outside city limits, that would be affected as well, but you can't prioritize one over the other of outside.
Right, you can't
sales.
arbitrarily,
Right.
pick one and say, okay, because of whatever reason, we're gonna raise your rates and not raise them for anyone else. You
But
can't
if we adjusted outside rates, we could adjust all of them.
Right. And I believe they
But that's a
could
whole
now
different
set a-
order than the contract.
They could set I believe what they could do now, once they do the rate study and everything, you could have like residential, industrial, wholesale rates, you could break them down like that.
But
But
that's
you
all,
can't just pick one entity out and do
Right.
it.
but that can all be deemed outside of this contract. That would not affect this contract.
It would not affect this
It
contract
would
at all.
affect all the others,
Okay.
right?
Any more
Thank you.
questions? Comments?
Any other questions? Okay.
Well, the other thing I'd like for you to consider that we look at in Caney is all the people that commute to Coffeyville and help the economy here that come from Caney and everything in between. So, it isn't just for the city of Coffeyville or the city of Caney. This is we in Montgomery County.
Nope, that's good.
I agree.
So I just want to go on record to say that we have a lot of folks that transfer here and then vice versa from Coffeyville over to Caney that are going to take advantage of Coffeyville water at Spears or wherever. So it's just, kind of the whole we thing of Montgomery County.
Hey, Kelly, what is your timeline on, I know you got to get loan approval and project approval, how quickly?
Well,
And I understand the incoming
yeah.
commissioner's question, so I think we can get them answered. But
We
what-
would like to move faster than we can, but the problem is because of the city's large utility rate already, and especially on water and sewer, because they did the sewer, but the water of itself. So we don't have a lot of room to actually increase the rates a lot for infrastructure. So we're following the grant funding. So, and as I looked at it, even with a lot of the grants we've applied for, it actually is allocated not over 1 year, but over a year or two. So it's probably going to fall within that year or two beyond the first year. And then that's why we're trying to get started now, because as we're moving, the grants are kind of waiting on us as to go into design. And so that's kind of the drop of the
I
hammer.
think what this question is on the contract itself, on getting it
Yeah.
approved and stuff. I think you're needing that. You said for like to go ahead, get the grant stuff going
Right.
and right of ways and all that.
Correct.
And I think that was his question.
Yeah, that's our design and our easement. We can't even acquire easements until we have a contract.
All right, well, I think we should table it, and then let's get the incoming commissioners, all the information that we have. And I think that'll answer the overwhelming majority of their questions. And
Right.
I would ask the incoming commissioners, if you have other questions that you want addressed, send me an email, and we'll make sure those get answered. And then we'll get this solved at the next meeting.
Yes.
Sure.
Because I am empathetic to the fact
Sure.
that this is Montgomery County. So
Yeah.
I think, there's going to be a time we're going to need help.
Need
So
some.
I think
That's correct.
we are very much on board with trying to help you solve a very difficult problem when we have an abundance. And so it makes sense to me. But the questions are legitimate. Let's get the answers to them.
Well, and they're going to be the future commissioners that are going to be setting up
Yeah,
there. And
absolutely.
I definitely want to be
Yeah, this is
on
going to be a
board
long
and friendly
project.
with
They're
them,
going to be
so-
here a while.
Right, right, and we're,
And they haven't been privy,
Yeah.
and he hasn't been privy to
Yeah.
all the.
yeah, and
Right,
you're
what
new
we
commissioner.
have.
It's all the
Yeah.
workshop information.
Yeah.
Throughout the year,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
No, we're in agreement there, too.
Is everybody good on that?
I'm fine on that.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll table. We will
Alec,
table
any
resolution
questions you
R.
guys have, get to me, will you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you guys can always reach out to me, too, I'll try to handle everything.
Oh, yeah, we can. If you- Okay. Okay, so we will go ahead, and at this time, we will table Resolution R-23-96 until our next meeting, and that will give them the chance to get all the same information that we already have. Okay, at this time, it's been requested that we take about a 5-minute break. Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll come back up, and we'll hear from you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we will call our meeting back to order. At this time, under new business, we are going to go on to item number 4, which is Resolution R-23-97 to authorize the purchase of a 2024 F-150 4x4 Super Crew XL truck for $47,925 for the Water Services Department from Quality Motors. Our Director of Water Services, Mr. Steve Smith, will make comments.
Good afternoon, once again, Commissioners, staff. As you stated, this is for purchase of a 2024 F-150 4x4 V8 Super Crew XL truck. I sent out 3 requests for price quotes for a half-ton 4x4 pickup, with only 2 returning the price quote. Romans Motors said they cannot provide a price quote due to the constant price changes. They also stated that the cost of the truck would be above $65,000. This truck will replace a 2008 Chevrolet half-ton 4x4 number 1246, which is the truck I drive currently. And then that truck that I drive currently will then replace the meter service truck 1079, and then that truck will go to the Public Service Department for use there.
Okay.
So,
So continuing to get and move those trucks so we can get the max out of them.
exactly. And that way you can move them down to a department that, runs off tax entity instead of an
Okay.
enterprise like ours.
Okay, all right. And the quoted amount of $47,925 is in your budget, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, we were budgeted for $55,000 and we
Okay.
came in under that.
all right.
So staff is recommending that the mayor be authorized to direct the finance director to issue a purchase order to Quality Motors in the amount of the $47,925 for the purchase of one 2024 half-ton Ford F-150 4x4 Super Crew service truck.
Okay. All righty. And you have the comparable. Anybody have any further questions? He's got the quotes
Yep.
there at the bottom that he was given. In comparison, also, they quoted you on a Dodge Ram, correct?
ma'am.
And it
And
was
it
a
came
little
in
more,
higher.
so
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
got the lesser of the two. Okay?
Unless you want to buy me the Dodge Ram, that's fine.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-23-97 as presented.
I'll second. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Swindell to approve Resolution R-23-97 as presented. Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you,
Thank you, Steve.
Steve, very much. Okay, we now move on to item number 5, Resolution R-23-98 to approve submittal of several Kansas Water Office grant applications. Our Director of Public Works, Mr. Thomas Osborne, will make comments on this.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. This year, the Senate House Bill 2302 created a brand-new grant program or grant funding source for the Kansas Water Office. They came and created 2 different grants from that House bill. One is for technical assistance and one is for actual projects, so like construction projects. Tonight before you, I believe we were trying to get as many in as we can because this was a short deadline. They announced the guide for what was allowed December 7th. So, and then they're wanting, of course, the applications on the 29th, so this Friday. So we were wanting to get as many of these grants in as possible. There is 0 match cost required for any of these grants that we were to get. So we're looked at the projects and items that we are currently working on and in the process of completing to see what might qualify for these grant funds. And those are the grant applications that were included in your packet. I'll just quickly kind of go through
Yes.
all of them. Of course, we have the water treatment facilities plan, which is kind of where we're looking at the capacities, the longevity, how much lifespan we have left on our water treatment plant. That technical assistance, so it's just engineering. So we're looking at the technical assistance grant. That grant can be up to $1 million. We're only looking at $130,000 for that particular one. There was also no limit to the amount of grants that you can apply for. So again, we're going to go for all we can. So the next one was what I labeled as the reservoir main line replacements. I believe the actual application says the water treatment plant mains, but these are the water lines that take the clean water up to the reservoirs on top of the hill. So there are several lines in there. Again, this is for the engineering for that. So again, we're looking at the technical assistance portion of those grant funds for $55,000. The third one is for the water treatment plant. We're looking at pump house improvements, so where we're actually taking in the water from the river and starting the process of cleaning it. Again, we're looking at technical assistance grant. That one, we are looking at $128,000 for that particular grant that we're applying for. And then we also have a couple for the sewer department. So the Brown Street sewer, which is of course on the next item as well. This is again a technical assistance grant for the engineering design on that project for $55,000. The wastewater treatment plant lagoon liner. So it's one of the kind of what we call an overflow lagoon. So when we got high flows, we can just charge water into that lagoon so that we have time for our plant to maintain the quality of effluent coming out of that plant as required by all our permits. That just kind of gives us a buffer for when we have those heavy flows coming in to be able to maintain that quality. Again, this is a technical assistance for just the engineering design on that for $49,000. And then the last grant that we are looking at applying for is actually for the program side or project side of things. And as you all know, we've been working through AMI for the past, I don't know, decade. I think I've heard about it ever since I started. So we are finally moving forward with that project, and we've pretty much all but completed that project. So we're looking at before we have to use the Kansas Revolving Loan Fund to instead see if we can't get these grant funds instead. So the water project grant funds can actually go up to $8 million per project. So that's where we're able to ask for the $1,786,971.84, which is the water side of that project. That was not in your packets. I just finally was able to pull those numbers into this afternoon. But the affidavit, I believe, was included, just so that you knew we were trying to put those together. Again, all these grants, we're trying to get all these numbers in as quick as possible and try to, put our best effort forward to receive some of those funds that are produced by the new grant programs in the Kansas Water Office. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions on any of these.
Okay. And just so the public realizes, our water treatment plant is 40, well, how old is it? 50, okay.
Yep, 50 years old.
50
So
years
we've been,
old.
of course, we are constantly maintaining it and doing improvements. We've gone from, some of the bulk dry additives and chemicals to some polymers to help with flocculant and stuff like that to help those settle out. And of course, I think Steve left, but Shane's here. Shane used to run the water plant, so he could probably answer more questions on exactly some of those improvements. But we do maintain that plant and try to keep it as efficient and operating as both an efficient and keep all of our water quality within the parameters required by KDHE.
Okay. And there's like a recommended time frame of when you should replace, one, isn't it like 40, 50 years? Is that it?
So you want to look at it like every 20 years, I think.
20.
Yeah. So typically on those plants, you want to look at it every 20 years. What improvements can you make? Some of those
Right.
are a complete overhaul. Some of that's just, okay,
Part
we're going
of
to change out this for this, and we're still going to maintain our regulations. It's better on equipment or whatever. So it's just, you're constantly having, the sciences are going through and, we got this new whatever over here that'll clean everything really well and, save you, 40 cents a gallon or something. It doesn't cost that much to produce a gallon
Right,
of water, so,
right.
but,
Okay.
but yeah, so there's constantly changing of that, and so we're, of course, keeping up on that. So we want to look at that every 20 years or so, like we're looking at probably the next 5 years, looking at the water treatment or sewer
Waste- okay.
wastewater treatment plant.
Plant,
Doing
okay.
the same thing probably the next 5 years.
Yeah, because it's 21, 22 years old?
22.
22, okay, that's what I thought, okay. Okay, all right. And what we would be doing this evening is authorizing you to apply for these grants.
yep.
I realize, you don't have all the documents in full, we're not here, but it's just because your time frame
Yep.
is
So-
to let you know on Thursday, whenever it was,
I've-
Thursday, December 7th, and
Yeah,
it's due
there's-
Friday, the 29th.
Yeah, so it was a very, very short time frame.
Okay.
I believe each one of the packets had other than the AMI, had kind of the printout of what the application looks like.
Right.
And the information that's going in those. There was, I believe, kind of an information, we like to call Chuck's Make 'em Cry clause whenever we apply for grants. So that'll be going in there, and that's just, it tells Coffeyville's story, and that, we've taken a licking, but, we keep on kicking. So that's what we want to keep doing, moving Coffeyville forward as we,
Okay,
And these are no matching,
yeah.
Grants,
These are
so that the-
zero, so if we were to receive
Zero
the grant
matching.
in full, it'd pay for the whole project. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Zero matching grant.
okay, well, can't pass that up. Anybody have any further questions for Thomas? Okay. If not, I'll move to approve Resolution R-23-99 as presented.
Second.
are we doing 98, 99, and 100? Are we doing them separately?
99,
98.
oh, 98, 99, well, that one,
99 and 100.
right. No, this is a
No,
separate deal.
this is-
This
this
is a
98.
separate deal, he's got to explain on that. That's for the Brown Street sewer line replacement, right?
Yep. yep.
Okay, that's on
That's
this.
the different.
That's a
yeah.
whole different thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're doing 98.
So we're doing 98, yes,
Okay.
because this is for the grant application processes. So I made that motion, and
I think Pam,
okay.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve Resolution R-23-98 as presented. Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Maples.
aye.
Okay, now we'll move on to Resolution R-23-99, which is to approve a work authorization contract with Algar Martin and Associates for the Brown Street sewer line replacement. Thomas Osborne, our Director of Public Works, will once again make comments.
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight before you, of course, we have the work authorization for Algar Martin and Associates for the Brown Street Sewer. That project is very, very much needed, as you can see from the photographs included. The line is in rather large disrepair. Of course, you can see the bottom of it's pretty much rotted out. We've actually had there's a lot of stormwater intrusion through there. We've had a couple of sinkholes caused in the road around some manholes, so it is in dire straits of needing replaced and brought up to standards, both for, taking care of the citizens of Coffeyville as far as removing of the waste, but as well as meeting our MS4 permits and not flooding out the water treatment plant with stormwater. I'd be happy to answer any questions. This is strictly for the engineering services through Algar Martin. Of course, we use Algar Martin on a lot of our projects.
things.
They are very familiar with our systems. So.
Yes, they are. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Thomas on the building and the design part of this? Okay. If not, I will move to approve Resolution R-23-99 as presented.
I'll second.
Was that Commissioner Maples?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Maples to approve Resolution R-23-99 as presented. Commissioner Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell,
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay. Here to where we were presented. Okay, we will now move on to the next item, which is Resolution R-23-100, is to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Kansas Eastern Region Insurance Trust, otherwise as we call CARET, for workers' compensation insurance coverage for the city of Coffeyville to be effective January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Allison, do you have anything to say about this?
I do. So the city joined CARET over 10 years ago, and they have been our workers' compensation provider since that time. Over the last year, CARET did lose one member entity, so that we had started out with 18 members. CARET currently has 17 members that are a part of that insurance trust pool. In addition to workers' compensation, they also provide for the city risk assessment training and services, including loss control and damage control. CARET also gives to the city some premium discounts that are offered through the CARET Plus, which benchmarks improvements of each of the member organizations. CARET Plus program also includes timely reporting of claims, post-offer physical assessments, our wellness program, physical assessments of public safety personnel, facility inspections, which they were just here in November to do our facility inspections. They also help govern our safety committee, accident investigations, and additional safety training and orientation programs. In 2022, CARET Plus also instituted mandatory defensive driver training for all of our employees. So in 22 and 23, our employees did an online platform for defensive driving training. Starting in 2024, we'll do in-person half-day training for every employee for defensive driving. In 2023, CARET Plus added a requirement to offer mental health care for all of our public safety personnel. The city then added that to our slate of benefits as part of an employee assistance program, not just for public safety personnel, but for every employee of the city and each of their households. Since 2014, we have also received dividends every year. This year, our dividend from CARET was $8,262. We continue to qualify for discounts. This year, we qualified for a 4.5% discount of our premium at our annual review. Staff has recently received the renewal quote for this year's renewal from CARET. The quoted premium for 2024 is $218,570. That is an increase of $48,735 over 2023. The factors affecting the increase are partly an increase in the city's experience mod. In 2021, our experience modification factor was a 0.99. In 2022, it went up to a 1.10. 2023, it was a 1.14, and newly calculated for 2024 is a 1.38. The experience modification factor is based on a 3-year running average. So other factors that contribute to this increase are continued increases to the city's overall payroll, medical inflation rates, which are calculated at 6 to 10% annually. So even though all of our events have been non-life-threatening events, each claim carries a higher dollar value going into it because of that rate of medical inflation. Additionally, there have been large claims incurred by other entities across the pool, and therefore across-the-board increases are needed to continue to fund the insurance trust. So based on that, staff would still recommend adoption of this resolution to continue our workers' comp coverage through the CARET Trust into 2024. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Allison, are each of the members taking the same roughly 20% increase?
Each member's increase is based on a portion of their own personal experience mod as well as their payroll is factored in. So each of them have a varying degree of responsibility in covering that, but it's not necessarily a flat 20 across the board.
That's a lot, I know, to go up. And I know when you factor in the payroll and that experience modification.
What
So
I,
that'll-
I'm sorry, what I would say is that over the course of the last year, Stephanie did a great job of really dialing in that payroll, because at times our payroll had been reported or projected too low, and then they had to come back and make modifications to
Modifications.
that. And so this includes that correctly portioned payroll. And so that's, again, part of why it is that you're seeing what is perceived to be a larger portion in that amount. I would also include that the fund that this comes out of already has the appropriate amount of funds in the budget because of how it is that she's portioned that out for payroll purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to get in the way of this, but it does seem like the factor adjustment for 2024 looks aggressive. When
Yeah.
21 and 22, I mean, they're not based on the experience of the previous year. So I would certainly ask that, I would like to ask them that question.
Sure.
Why'd it go up? You know, in previous years, it went up 4 basis points, and now it's going up, 24 basis points. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but.
Questions that I would be happy to ask the trust for more information, but
Is
that
it a
level of
nonprofit
detail.
trust, or is it a for-profit?
It is a for-profit trust, and that's why it is that they offer us dividends and refunds on premium based on some of those loss control activities.
Because the payroll, really, while it's up, it's not up significantly. It's really that factor that's driving it.
It's
And
that
I just,
experience
I don't get
modification.
why the factors why they anticipate that significantly of an increase when we haven't had it in previous years.
Right, and part of what you don't see reflected on here, and I'm not sure if this is still part of their driving factor in calculating that experience mod, is a large claim that we had that has technically fallen off. But if they're looking at a larger look-back period to calculate that mod rating, then they may still be anticipating a larger claim from us.
Well, why would they bring a larger look back when it should only be 3 years?
It should only be, but I'm just saying, I'm happy to reach out and ask them some more questions, but this is the information that they provided for us.
I hate to table everything in my first meeting.
I know. Well, and
I
a lot of
mean,
money.
I've been in the insurance
It is a
business,
lot of
and
money.
I think we should have a conversation.
And
with
they're, when did you get this info? You just got
The
it.
15th,
Yeah.
of December. So
They're
we don't
cutting
need
it
to-
close.
right.
Can we table it and have a special session or something if I can get on a call with them?
I would,
I mean, if
Okay.
that's the decision that the commission wants to make, then
I'll
that's
leave it up
what
to
it
the
is that we'll
commission.
need to do.
because this is from January 1. So
Yes.
we come January 1, we're not covered unless we find out something and then have a special, like
Have
you
a
said,
special meeting.
special session on
And
it.
that's fine.
Yeah,
that's
because
just a lot
that's a
of
big
money.
jump. It
Yeah,
is.
It is a big jump.
I mean, insurance rates are going up all over, but that's
Right.
significant. And again, that factor, somebody's got to explain that to me.
Explain it.
Doesn't
From,
make
to go
sense.
from 1.14 up to 1.38. And that's based on, isn't that based on your claims? So we would have had to have some bigger ones? Is
Well, I
that?
think it's based on the trend, but the trend doesn't support that big of an increase.
Right.
So if you and I get on a call with them tomorrow, can we then hold a special session and get it done?
That's fine. I
Yep.
mean, if that's fine with you all.
I'm available the rest of the week.
Or could
You're not?
well,
Oh, she's leaving tomorrow. What time are you leaving tomorrow?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
well, is there a way to approve this, subject to us making
I was
a
gonna
call
say-
and say this would be worst case, and
Okay, because we're down to the wire on
Yeah,
the
right. I
deadline.
agree.
That's the only thing that bothers
Cutting it
me.
close.
I hesitate to recommend that just because, well, they've already approved it, so.
Yeah,
But the other question maybe to ask is, okay, well, that's a projected factor, what if the actual factor at the end of 24 is
Right.
within more of a normal range?
right.
Do you get a refund?
We do.
Okay.
We have had that situation before.
Okay.
We've had the situation where we underestimated payroll and therefore we underestimated the amount that we were going to need to pay into work comp, and we've had to pay additional in. We've also
yeah.
had the reverse be true, where something was overcalculated or miscalculated during our audit, and it falsely inflated that at the beginning, and then we received that back in additional premium refunds at the end.
So we could approve this and then get a
Yes.
refund if it's not correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I recommend we approve it and know can only get better.
The solution is to rescind it if they have a conversation
Yeah.
and they find out something.
Okay, so we will approve this, and then you look into what we can, and then we'll see what we can come up with, that maybe, or find out why, and, you know,
Yep.
I don't know if there's something we can do or not. Okay. Okay, yeah, because there's all that on that. I don't know. Okay, so I will move to approve Resolution R-23-100 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maples, to approve Resolution R-23-100 as presented. Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell?
Aye.
Okay. And that way that'll get our coverage on, and then if something changes, we can go from there. Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda is the city manager's report. Whatever you would like to say.
Well, I had a meeting today with all the staff. Everything went really well. So, you know, we're charging ahead hard. So
Okay.
it's my first day, and I've learned a lot today. So, but yeah, things are going good.
Okay, that's great. And just so that everybody knows, he is continuing the Tuesday morning before the commission meeting radio, and he was on this morning, and it's very good. So that way, even though the agenda is published and it's on Facebook and so forth, I think hearing it on the radio helps a lot of people to know what's coming up. Okay. The next, we have comments from commissioners and staff. We have anything this evening?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Wilson, for stepping up, helping us out, and Paul Kreitz, seeing you again. So good to have Coffeyville moving forward again.
Okay. All right. Pam, anything you have?
This is my last full meeting, and I'll be here through old business next meeting, and then I'm gone. Bye-bye. But it's been a pleasure, really, to come back, be asked to come back and serve, and I think we've always had a great staff, and just appreciate it, all of you, and your hard work. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we will now move on. Next, we have executive session. So I will make a motion to move to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel as permitted by the non-elected personnel matter exception to the Open Meetings Act as set forth in KSA 75-4319B1 to include the city commission and the interim city manager, to reconvene in the commission room at, by what time do you want, Tim?
10 minutes.
Okay, so 8:28. 8:28. Okay.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Maples to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel as permitted by the non-elected personnel matter exception to the Open Meetings Act as set forth in KSA 75-4319B1 to include the city commission and interim city manager Tim Wilson to reconvene in the city commission room at 8:28 p.m. Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Swindell.
Aye.
Commissioner Maples.
Aye.
Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. and as a result, no action will be taken at this time. So unless there's anything further, then I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Jones to